Hello, my dear friends. Today, I want to share something unique and deeply personal. A story about talking to yourself. Yes, you heard that right. We often talk to friends, family, and strangers, but what about ourselves? Have you ever tried to have a conversation with the person who knows you best, you? This story is about a boy who found comfort, clarity, and courage by speaking with himself in moments of doubt and reflection. Before we begin, let me explain the idea behind this topic. Talking to yourself isn't as strange as it might sound. It's a way of thinking out loud, organizing your thoughts, or even finding solutions to problems. Sometimes, it helps to hear your own voice reassuring you, motivating you, or simply giving you space to be honest. Many successful people admit to practicing self-talk, whether in front of a mirror or while pacing back and forth. It's a tool to build confidence, confront fears, and understand your feelings better. In this story, I've kept the language simple and conversational so everyone can easily understand and enjoy it. The main character, Alex, learns the art of self-talk and how it changes his life for the better. This journey is relatable and heartwarming, a tale of how one boy discovers the power within his own words. Let's dive in. Talking to myself. Hi, my name is Alex. I'm 19 years old, and I live in a small town surrounded by hills and rivers. Life here is quiet, but not always easy. I'm in my first year of college, and it's been a roller coaster of emotions. Exciting, overwhelming, and sometimes just plain confusing. I've always been a little shy, especially in new situations. While I love reading, watching movies, and dreaming about big adventures, when it comes to expressing myself, I often freeze. The words seem to vanish from my mind. One day, something happened that changed everything. I was sitting in my room, staring at my English homework. I had to give a presentation in class the next day, and my anxiety was through the roof. I felt this knot in my stomach, this voice in my head saying, "You can't do it, Alex. What if you mess up? What if everyone laughs at you?" I closed my textbook and sighed. The room was so quiet that I could hear my own heartbeat. Then, out of nowhere, I whispered to myself, "Why are you so scared, Alex? You've got this. You've prepared, haven't you?" The sound of my own voice startled me at first, but then I felt something else, calmness. It was as if someone else was there, giving me advice, but that someone was me. I sat up straighter. "Okay, Alex," I said, louder this time. "Let's practice. You're going to give the best presentation tomorrow." And that's how it started, my habit of talking to myself. At first it felt strange, even silly, but the more I did it, the more it became a part of my routine. I realized that when I spoke out loud, I could hear my doubts, face them, and respond to them logically. It was like being my own coach, my own friend. The next day, I gave my presentation. It wasn't perfect. I stumbled on a few words and my hands were shaking, but I did it. I didn't let fear stop me, and for the first time, I felt proud of myself. Over the months, self-talk became my secret weapon. Whenever I felt nervous or unsure, I would find a quiet corner and have a little chat with myself. Sometimes it was about small things like deciding what to wear. Other times, it was about big decisions like choosing which classes to take or how to handle conflicts with friends. One of the most memorable moments was when I had a fight with my best friend, Liam. We had always been close, but a misunderstanding had led to harsh words. I felt terrible but didn't know how to apologize. That evening, I sat by the river and started talking to myself. "Alex, you messed up, but you care about Liam, right? So why are you hesitating? Go and say sorry. What's the worst that could happen? He's your friend. He'll understand." Hearing those words out loud gave me the courage I needed. The next day, I approached Liam, apologized, and we worked things out. Self-talk also helped me during my part-time job at a cafe. On busy days, when orders piled up and customers grew impatient, I would quietly remind myself, "Stay calm, Alex. one order at a time. "You're doing great." It was like having a tiny cheerleader in my head, keeping me motivated. But it wasn't always about solving problems. Sometimes I would talk to myself just for fun. I'd describe my dreams, like traveling to Japan or writing a novel. I'd imagine future conversations or even make jokes. It was a way of keeping myself company, especially on lonely days. One day, I read about how self-talk is a psychological tool. Experts call it inner dialogue, and they say it can shape your mindset and boost your confidence. I smiled when I read that because I was living proof of it. Of course, not everyone understood my habit. Once, my cousin caught me talking to myself in the garden and teased me about it. "Alex, are you practicing for a play or something?" He laughed. I just smiled and said, "No, I'm practicing being my own best friend." As time went on, my habit of talking to myself grew more natural. It wasn't just about handling difficult moments anymore. It became a way for me to understand myself better. When I was alone in my room, I'd sometimes ask questions out loud. "Alex, what do you really want from life? What's making you happy right now? Why does this situation upset you so much?" These conversations helped me uncover things I didn't even realize I was feeling. For example, one night, after a long day at college, I felt restless and irritated. At first, I blamed the heavy workload, but when I sat down and asked myself what was really bothering me, I discovered the truth. I was lonely. "Alex," I said softly, looking at my reflection in the mirror, "you miss having someone to talk to, don't you?" I nodded at my reflection. That simple acknowledgement lifted a weight off my chest. "Okay," I continued. "What can you do about it? Maybe call Liam? Or join a club at college?" The next day, I signed up for the drama club. I figured it would be a great way to meet new people and also push myself out of my comfort zone. Little did I know how much that decision would change my life. Meeting Emma. Joining the drama club was terrifying at first. I was surrounded by confident, expressive people who seemed to have no fear of being on stage. Meanwhile, I could barely introduce myself without fumbling over my words. But then, I met Emma. Emma was in my group for our first rehearsal. She had this warm smile and a way of making everyone feel comfortable. When it was my turn to practice a scene, I froze, my mind blank. "Hey, Alex," Emma said gently. "Take a deep breath. You've got this. Just pretend you're talking to yourself, like you're your own audience." I smiled at her words. If only she knew how often I did that. Her encouragement helped me relax, and I managed to get through the scene without panicking. After practice, Emma and I started talking. She told me how she used to be painfully shy, but found her confidence through acting. "I used to practice my lines in front of the mirror," she said. "Sometimes, I'd even have full conversations with myself." I laughed. "Sounds familiar," I admitted. "Talking to myself is kind of my thing." From that day on, Emma and I became close friends. We'd rehearse together, share stories, and even joke about our self-talk therapy sessions. She was one of the first people who truly understood me, and it felt amazing to have someone to share my journey with. Discovering the power of positivity. One evening, Emma and I were sitting on a park bench watching the sunset. I told her about how self-talk had helped me through tough times. "You know," she said thoughtfully, "you could use that to help others. Like, what if you shared your story with people who struggle with anxiety or self-doubt? You could inspire them." Her words stuck with me. I started wondering if my little habit could make a difference in someone else's life. That's when I decided to start a blog. I called it Conversations with Myself. It was a space where I could share my thoughts, experiences, and tips for using self-talk to overcome challenges. At first, I wasn't sure if anyone would read it, but to my surprise, people started responding. Comments poured in from readers who said they'd tried self-talk and found it helpful. Some shared their own stories of struggle and triumph. Reading their words made me realize that I wasn't alone, and neither were they. Facing my greatest fear, a few months later the drama club announced a big event, a public performance at the town hall. Each member had to prepare a short monologue. When I heard the news, my heart sank. Speaking in front of a classroom was one thing, but performing on a stage in front of hundreds of people? That was my worst nightmare. For days, I debated whether to back out. But every time I thought about quitting, I heard my own voice in my head. Alex, you've come so far. Don't give up now. You can do this. The night before the performance, I stood in front of the mirror and practiced my lines over and over. Alex, I told myself, you're not just saying these words. You're telling a story. Believe in yourself, and the audience will believe in you too. When the big day came, I was trembling with nerves, but as I walked onto the stage, I remembered all those conversations I'd had with myself. The encouragement, the honesty, the belief that I could overcome anything. I took a deep breath, looked out at the audience, and began. The beginning of something new. The performance was a success. For the first time in my life, I felt truly confident, like I was in control of my own destiny. After the show, people came up to me and said how much they loved my monologue. One woman even said, "You spoke with so much emotion, it felt like you were sharing your own story." I smiled. In a way, I was. That night I sat down to write a new post for my blog. I titled it, "The Day I Found My Voice." In it, I wrote about how self-talk had helped me face my fears and find my confidence. As I hit publish, I realized something important. Talking to yourself isn't just about solving problems or calming nerves. It's about discovering who you are, embracing your strengths, and becoming your own biggest supporter. And that's a lesson I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. As my blog gained traction, I started receiving emails and messages from people all over the world. Many thanked me for sharing my experiences. Others asked for advice. A recurring theme in their messages was fear. The fear of failure, rejection, or simply not being good enough. Reading their words reminded me of the younger version of myself, the boy who would sit alone in his room, paralyzed by doubt. I wanted to help them the way I had helped myself. One evening, as I was responding to a message from a reader, an idea struck me. What if I created a space where people could practice self-talk together? A community where they could learn from one another and support each other in finding their inner voice. The Self-Talk Circle. I decided to host a small online workshop. I called it the Self-Talk Circle. The idea was simple. Participants would share their struggles, and together, we'd practice self-talk techniques to overcome them. I was nervous before the first session. What if no one showed up? Or worse, what if people didn't find it helpful? But when the time came, I was amazed to see over 30 participants join the virtual room. They came from different backgrounds, students, working professionals, parents, all united by the desire to overcome their fears and build their confidence. I started the session by sharing my story, just like I had on my blog. Then, I introduced a simple exercise. Close your eyes, I said, and imagine you're talking to a friend who's feeling exactly the way you are. What would you say to them? Now, open your eyes and say those words to yourself. At first, there was hesitation. People stumbled over their words, unsure of what to say. But as the session went on, the energy in the room shifted. Participants began speaking with more conviction, more kindness. One woman, Maria, shared how she struggled with public speaking. She practiced saying, "Maria, you are brave, and your voice matters." By the end of the session, she was smiling, her voice steady and confident. Seeing the transformation in others filled me with a sense of purpose. I realized that my journey wasn't just about me. It was about helping others discover their own inner strength. Expanding the vision. The success of the workshop inspired me to do more. I started creating video tutorials on self-talk techniques and posting them on social media. My followers grew, and soon, people began inviting me to speak at schools and community centers. One of the most memorable invitations came from my old high school. When I walked into the auditorium, Memories of my shy, awkward teenage self came flooding back. But this time, I wasn't the nervous kid hiding in the corner. I was standing on stage, sharing my journey with hundreds of students. I spoke about the power of self-talk, how it had helped me conquer my fears and find my voice. If I can do it, I told them, so can you. Start small. Start by saying one kind thing to yourself every day. It might feel strange at first, but trust me, it works. After the talk, a young boy approached me. He reminded me so much of myself at his age, quiet, uncertain, but full of potential. "Alex," he said, "I get really nervous during exams. Do you think talking to myself could help?" I smiled and placed a hand on his shoulder. "Absolutely," I said. "Start by saying, 'I'm prepared and I can handle this.' Repeat it until you believe it. You're stronger than you think." A conversation that changed everything. One evening, as I was preparing for another workshop, Emma called me. "Alex," she said, her voice excited, "I've been thinking. You've been helping so many people online, but what if we took this to the next level? Like writing a book, or even starting a podcast?" Her words hit me like a lightning bolt. A book, a podcast. The idea thrilled me and terrified me at the same time. "Do you really think I could do that?" I asked, my old self-doubt creeping in. "Of course you can," Emma said firmly. "You've already proven that you can inspire people. This is just the next step." That night, I sat down with my journal and had one of the most important conversations with myself. "Alex," I said, "you've come so far. You've faced your fears, helped others, and found your voice. Why stop now? You've got a story to tell, and it deserves to be heard." By the end of that self-talk session, I was filled with a renewed sense of determination. The next chapter. Over the next few months, I poured my heart into writing a book. I called it The Voice Within. It was a collection of stories, exercises, and insights about the power of self-talk. When it was finally published, the response was overwhelming. Readers from all over the world shared how the book had changed their lives. Emma and I also launched a podcast where we invited guests to share their own experiences with self-talk and personal growth. The podcast quickly gained popularity, and I found myself connecting with people I never imagined I'd meet. Psychologists, authors, even celebrities who credited self-talk with helping them succeed. Through it all, I never stopped practicing what I preached. Every morning, I'd start my day with a conversation with myself. Sometimes it was a pep talk, other times it was simply a moment of gratitude. As life continued, the lessons I learned from talking to myself became more than just a habit. They became a foundation for how I approached every challenge, decision, and opportunity. With the success of The Voice Within and the podcast, I felt like I was living in a dream. But the truth was, self-talk wasn't just something I did in the quiet moments of my life anymore. It became an active tool that I used to stay grounded, even when the world around me felt chaotic. The challenges of growth. As my message spread, so did the responsibilities. Managing the blog, hosting workshops, recording podcast episodes, and responding to hundreds of messages. It all started to feel overwhelming. One night after a long day, I sat at my desk, staring at a to-do list that seemed never-ending. For the first time in a while, doubt crept in. Am I doing enough? Am I even helping people the way I want to? I slumped back in my chair, feeling the weight of expectations, most of them my own. That's when I remembered the very thing I'd been teaching others. I walked over to the mirror and looked at my tired reflection. "Alex," I said, my voice steady but soft. "It's okay to feel overwhelmed. You're human. But look at everything you've accomplished. You've helped so many people. You don't have to do it all at once. Take it one step at a time." The words were simple, but they brought me back to center. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and decided to prioritize. Instead of trying to do everything, I focused on what mattered most: connecting with people, and sharing my message. A new opportunity. A few months later, I received an email from a producer at a major media network. They wanted to feature my story in a documentary series about people who had turned personal struggles into sources of inspiration. At first, I was excited, but then the familiar nerves kicked in. The idea of cameras following me around, of sharing even more of my life with the world, felt intimidating. That night, I found myself in front of the mirror again. "Alex," I said, "this is an incredible opportunity. It's okay to be scared, but you've faced fear before, and every time, you've come out stronger. This is your chance to reach even more people. Trust yourself." The next morning, I agreed to be part of the documentary. The experience was both challenging and rewarding. As the cameras rolled, I opened up about my journey, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. When the documentary aired, the response was overwhelming. People from all walks of life reached out, sharing how my story had inspired them to start their own conversations with themselves. Emma's new role. Through it all, Emma remained my closest friend and biggest supporter. One day, she surprised me with an idea. "Alex," she said, "what if we started hosting retreats? A weekend where people can disconnect from the chaos of their lives and focus on themselves, on finding their voice and building their confidence." The idea was brilliant. Together, we planned the first Voice Within retreat. It was held at a peaceful countryside location, surrounded by nature. For 3 days, participants engaged in workshops, mindfulness exercises, and guided self-talk sessions. Watching people transform over the course of the retreat was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. By the end, many participants shared that they felt lighter, more confident, and ready to face their challenges. A personal breakthrough. Despite all the growth and success, there was one area of my life where I still struggled, forgiving myself for past mistakes. One evening, I found an old journal from my teenage years. Flipping through its pages, I came across an entry where I'd written about a moment I regretted, a time when I let my fear stop me from standing up for a friend. Reading those words brought back a flood of emotions: guilt, shame, and a lingering sense of failure. For years, I had avoided thinking about that moment, but now I realized it was time to confront it. I sat down in front of the mirror and began a conversation with myself. "Alex," I said, "you were young. You didn't know how to handle that situation, and that's okay. You've grown since then. You've learned. It's time to let go of the past and forgive yourself." Tears streamed down my face as I repeated those words. It wasn't easy, but by the end of the conversation, I felt a sense of relief. For the first time in years, I allowed myself to move on. Looking ahead. As I reflect on my journey, I realize that talking to myself has been more than just a tool. It's been a lifeline. It's helped me navigate the toughest moments, celebrate the victories, and connect with people in ways I never thought possible. The conversations I've had with myself have shaped who I am today. They've taught me to be kind, patient, and honest with myself. And they've shown me that the most important relationship I'll ever have is the one I have with myself. So, my dear friends, wherever you are on your own journey, remember this: you are your own best ally. Take the time to listen to yourself, to understand your needs, and to cheer yourself on. Because when you believe in yourself, there's nothing you can't achieve. And as for me, well, I'll keep talking, because every conversation is a step toward becoming the best version of myself. We're going to dive into a topic that has helped me and so many others grow, overcome challenges, and find the strength within: talking to yourself. What is one small step I can take right now to move forward? How can I make this task easier for myself? What strengths do I have that will help me get through this? These questions focus on solutions and the steps you can take to solve the problem, rather than fixating on the problem itself. Asking empowering questions redirects your thinking and makes you feel more in control. 5. Celebrate your progress. self-recognition. Talking to yourself isn't just about navigating challenges, it's also about celebrating your progress and achievements, big or small. Often, we forget to recognize the hard work we've done and the growth we've made. Example. Let's say you've been working on improving your English speaking skills. One day, you have a conversation in English without feeling anxious or stumbling over your words. Instead of just brushing it off, take a moment to celebrate. Say to yourself, Alex, I'm proud of you for speaking confidently today. You've worked hard to get here, and this is a huge accomplishment. Keep going. You're improving every day. Recognizing your progress not only boosts your self-esteem, but also encourages you to keep pushing forward. 6. Practice mindfulness. Stay present in the moment. Another effective way of talking to yourself is by practicing mindfulness. This means being fully present in the moment and observing your thoughts without judgment. Mindfulness allows you to recognize when negative thoughts arise and gently redirect them. Example. Imagine you're feeling anxious about an upcoming meeting. Instead of allowing those anxious thoughts to spiral, take a deep breath and say, I am here in this moment. I don't need to worry about what happens next. I can handle whatever comes my way. This mindfulness technique helps ground you, reduces anxiety, and allows you to focus on the present moment rather than worrying about the future. Developing a habit of talking to yourself. The key to making talking to yourself effective is to develop a consistent habit. This means integrating this practice into your daily routine so it becomes second nature when facing tough situations. Much like exercising, it takes time to build this muscle, but the results are worth it. The more you practice talking to yourself positively and intentionally, the more you'll notice a shift in your mindset. It starts small, but over time you'll find that you approach challenges with confidence, see setbacks as learning opportunities, and cultivate a mindset that supports your well-being. Example. Let's say every morning you wake up and tell yourself, today I will take one step closer to my goals. I may face challenges, but I am strong enough to handle them. You say this to yourself every day, and soon, when life presents difficulties, that inner voice will automatically pop up to remind you of your strength and resilience. After weeks or months of this daily practice, your response to challenges will have shifted. Instead of panicking or doubting yourself, your first thought might be, I've faced tough situations before, and I've gotten through them. I can do this. This consistent practice of self-talk will help rewire your brain to naturally adopt a more positive and proactive mindset. Using self-talk for stress management. Another way to use self-talk is for stress management. In our busy, fast-paced world, stress can often feel overwhelming. However, by talking to yourself, you can reduce that stress and find ways to approach situations with a calmer, clearer mind. Example. Imagine you're preparing for an exam or a presentation, and the stress starts building up. You begin to think, I'm going to fail. I'm not ready. This is too much to handle. At this moment, instead of letting those negative thoughts take over, take a deep breath and reframe your thinking. I've prepared for this. I know this material. It's okay to feel nervous, but I am ready. I'll focus on one thing at a time and give my best effort. By speaking to yourself this way, you take control of your emotions and shift your focus from anxiety to calm, rational thinking. This type of self-talk is a form of emotional regulation and helps you to stay focused, reduce your stress, and manage pressure in a healthier way. Creating a safe space. Through self-talk. Self-talk isn't just about motivation or boosting confidence. It can also serve as a way to create a mental space where you feel safe, supported, and at peace. Especially during times of uncertainty or hardship, talking to yourself can help you feel more grounded. Example. Let's say you're going through a tough time, maybe in your relationships or dealing with personal loss. During these moments, you may feel lost or emotionally drained. Talking to yourself can be a form of self-soothing. For example, you might say to yourself, It's okay to feel sad. This is hard, but I am strong. I have been through tough times before, and I will get through this one too. It's okay to take time for myself. This kind of self-talk reassures you that it's okay to not have everything figured out, and that emotional healing takes time. It's a reminder that you're allowed to be human, to feel your emotions, and to give yourself the space you need to heal. Self-talk for decision-making and problem-solving. Talking to yourself also works wonders when making decisions or solving problems. When you're faced with a tough decision, your thoughts can easily spiral into confusion or overwhelm. But by talking through the decision-making process with yourself, you can clarify your thoughts and approach the situation with a more level-headed mindset. Example: let's say you're trying to decide whether to take on a new job opportunity. There are a lot of factors to consider: salary, location, work-life balance, and career growth. If you try to make the decision in a rushed, emotional state, you might miss key details. Instead, use self-talk to break things down. Let's think this through. First, what do I want most in my career right now? I want growth and a good work-life balance. Does this new job offer those things? What are the pros and cons? Okay, I see that the salary is higher, but the commute might be longer. How will that affect my life outside of work? What's more important to me right now? By talking to yourself like this, you are essentially problem-solving out loud, which allows you to weigh the options without getting bogged down by overwhelming emotions or external pressures. It helps you make decisions that are aligned with your values and goals, reinforcing your boundaries with self-talk. Another helpful application of self-talk is reinforcing your personal boundaries. In life, there are moments when people or situations may try to push us past our limits. Whether it's at work, in relationships, or in social settings, we sometimes need to remind ourselves of what we are willing to accept and what we are not. Example: let's say you're in a social situation where someone is being overly critical or disrespectful. Instead of letting it affect you or remaining silent, you can use self-talk to strengthen your resolve. I have the right to stand up for myself. I don't have to accept disrespectful behavior from anyone. It's okay to set boundaries. I will calmly express that this is not acceptable and remove myself from the situation if necessary. This kind of self-talk gives you the courage to assert yourself and establish boundaries without feeling guilty. It helps you feel more empowered and confident in handling difficult people or situations. Embracing self-talk in challenging situations. One of the most valuable aspects of self-talk is its ability to help you navigate through challenging situations. Whether it's public speaking, dealing with confrontation, or facing any type of fear or uncertainty, talking to yourself can prepare you mentally, emotionally, and physically for what lies ahead. Example: imagine you're about to give a big presentation at work and you're feeling nervous. You could be flooded with negative thoughts like, what if I mess up? What if I forget everything? I'm going to look foolish. Instead of letting those thoughts take over, you can counter them by talking to yourself in a positive, reassuring way. I have prepared for this. I know my material. It's okay to be nervous. It's a sign that I care about doing well. I'll take it step by step. If I make a mistake, I can recover. I am capable of handling this. By saying these things aloud or to yourself, you not only calm your nerves, but also build a sense of self-confidence that will empower you to perform better. Over time, this kind of self-talk becomes an automatic response to nervousness or fear, allowing you to remain poised and focused, no matter the situation. Using self-talk for motivation and momentum. Sometimes the hardest part is simply getting started. Whether it's exercising, working on a big project, or tackling a goal you've been putting off, self-talk can act as a powerful motivator to break through the initial resistance. Example: let's say you've been procrastinating about starting a fitness routine. You've been putting it off for days, maybe even weeks. When you think about working out, you feel tired and unmotivated. This is where self-talk comes in. Okay, it's time to get moving. It doesn't have to be perfect. Even just 10 minutes will help me feel better and get closer to my goal. I don't need to wait for motivation, I just need to start. This type of self-talk helps you push past the resistance and build momentum. Once you start, you often realize it's not as difficult as you imagined. And the more you do this, the easier it becomes to initiate action, whether it's working out, studying, or working on any other goal. Using self-talk to build positive habits. Another powerful way to use self-talk is to build long-term positive habits. Whether it's practicing mindfulness, eating healthier, or sticking to a daily routine, self-talk helps reinforce your commitment to these habits, making it easier to follow through. Example: let's say your goal is to develop a morning routine. The first few days might be difficult as you adjust to the change, and you might want to skip or make excuses. But with self-talk, you can keep yourself on track by reminding yourself of the benefits and why you started. I've committed to this because it will help me start my day with focus and energy. Even if I'm tired, I can still do this. It's a small effort that will pay off big in the long run. As you continue talking to yourself in this positive, reinforcing manner, you begin to see the benefits of the routine, and it becomes easier to stick to it. Over time, these positive habits become ingrained, and self-talk helps you maintain them even when you face distractions or setbacks. Self-talk to cultivate gratitude. One of the most beneficial aspects of self-talk is its ability to shift your mindset toward gratitude. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to focus on what we lack or what's going wrong. However, by practicing gratitude through self-talk, we can train our minds to recognize the positive things in our lives, fostering a sense of appreciation and contentment. Example: at the end of a long, exhausting day, you might be tempted to focus on the negatives. I didn't get everything done today. I'm so behind. Instead of falling into that mindset, you can reframe the situation with self-talk. I may not have completed everything, but I made progress today. I am grateful for the work I did, the time I spent with loved ones, and the opportunity to rest and recharge for tomorrow. This shift in perspective, driven by your self-talk, not only makes you feel better but also trains your brain to notice the good in your life. Over time, this leads to an increased sense of gratitude, which has been linked to better mental health, increased happiness, and greater overall well-being. Silencing the negative inner critic. Sometimes, the voice in your head can be overly critical, telling you that you're not good enough or that you're bound to fail. This negative inner critic can be paralyzing, but the beauty of self-talk is that you can challenge and silence that voice. Example: imagine you're about to try something new, like learning a new skill or pursuing a new project, and that critical voice starts saying things like, "You're not capable of doing this. You're going to fail. Why even bother?" Instead of listening to those thoughts, you can counter them with positive self-talk. This is a new challenge, and it's okay to feel uncertain. I don't need to be perfect. I'm capable of learning, growing, and making progress. I will give my best effort and learn from my mistakes. By responding to the negative self-talk with more supportive and encouraging thoughts, you gradually diminish the power of that critical voice. Over time, you'll find it easier to push through self-doubt and take action, knowing that your inner dialogue is on your side. Turning self-talk into a daily practice. Self-talk works best when it becomes a consistent habit, not just something you do occasionally. Integrating it into your daily routine allows it to become second nature, making it easier to rely on during stressful or challenging moments. Morning affirmations. Start your day with empowering self-talk. When you wake up, take a few moments to set a positive tone for the day by affirming your goals, values, and strengths. Example: instead of waking up and immediately worrying about the tasks ahead, say, "Today is a new day with new opportunities. I am capable of handling whatever comes my way. I will approach the day with gratitude, focus, and energy." This simple practice helps you start your day on a positive note, setting the stage for success and resilience. Check-ins. Throughout the day. Throughout the day, pause for quick mental check-ins. Ask yourself how you're feeling, what thoughts are dominating your mind, and how you can adjust your self-talk to stay aligned with your goals. Example. During a busy afternoon at work, you might feel overwhelmed and think, "I can't do this. There's too much on my plate." Counter that thought with, "I can break this into smaller steps. I'll tackle one task at a time, and I don't need to be perfect. Progress is what matters." This small shift can make a big difference in how you approach your workload. End-of-day reflections. Before going to bed, reflect on the day using self-talk. Focus on what went well and what you can improve without being overly critical. Example. Today wasn't perfect, but I'm proud of the effort I put in. I learned from the challenges I faced, and tomorrow is another opportunity to do better. I'm grateful for everything I accomplished, big or small. This kind of reflection reinforces a growth mindset and helps you end the day on a positive note. Using self-talk for emotional regulation. One of the most powerful applications of self-talk is managing your emotions. Whether you're feeling angry, sad, anxious, or frustrated, self-talk can help you process your feelings and respond in a healthier way. Dealing with anger. When you're angry, your thoughts can become reactive and unfiltered, leading to impulsive actions. Self-talk gives you the space to pause and think rationally before responding. Example. If someone cuts you off in traffic and you feel your anger rising, instead of yelling or reacting, say to yourself, "I can't control what they did, but I can control how I respond. Getting upset won't change anything. I'll let it go and focus on getting where I need to be safely." This practice not only helps you manage your emotions, but also reduces stress in the long run. Managing anxiety. Anxiety often comes from spiraling thoughts about the future. Self-talk can ground you in the present and remind you that you're capable of handling whatever comes your way. Example. Before an important meeting or event, you might think, "What if I mess up? Everyone will judge me." Counter that with, "I've prepared for this and I know what I'm doing. It's normal to feel nervous, but I won't let it stop me. I'll take a deep breath and focus on doing my best." By reframing your thoughts, you shift from fear to confidence. Processing sadness. When you're feeling down, self-talk can help you acknowledge your emotions without letting them overwhelm you. It's important to be kind and compassionate to yourself during these moments. Example. If you're feeling sad after a setback, instead of thinking, "I'm a failure, I'll never succeed," say, "It's okay to feel this way. I tried my best, and setbacks are a part of life. I'll learn from this experience and come back stronger. This moment doesn't define me." This approach helps you process your feelings while maintaining a sense of hope and resilience. Rehearsing success through self-talk. Another great way to use self-talk is by mentally rehearsing success. Visualization combined with positive self-talk can help you prepare for important events and boost your confidence. Example. Imagine you have a big interview coming up. Close your eyes and visualize yourself walking into the room, answering questions confidently, and leaving with a sense of accomplishment. As you visualize, say to yourself, "I am prepared and capable. I will communicate clearly and confidently. I deserve this opportunity, and I will give it my best effort." This mental rehearsal trains your brain to associate the event with positive outcomes, making you feel more confident and in control. Overcoming negative self-talk. We all have moments when our inner critic gets the best of us. The key is to recognize when negative self-talk is happening and consciously replace it with something more constructive. Step 1. Recognize the negative thought. Pay attention to your inner dialogue. Are you being overly critical or harsh on yourself? For example, if you think, "I'm so bad at this, I'll never get it right," acknowledge that this thought isn't helpful. Step 2. Challenge the thought. Ask yourself if the thought is true or if you're being too hard on yourself. Most negative self-talk is exaggerated or based on fear rather than reality. Step 3. Replace with a positive thought. Replace the negative thought with something more balanced and constructive. For example, negative, I'm terrible at this. Positive, I'm still learning, and it's okay to make mistakes. I'm improving every day. By practicing this process regularly, you'll find it easier to shift from negativity to positivity. Combining self-talk with other techniques. To make self-talk even more effective, you can combine it with other strategies like deep breathing, mindfulness, or journaling. Deep breathing. When you're feeling stressed or anxious, combine calming self-talk with deep breathing. For example, as you inhale, say to yourself, I am calm and in control. As you exhale, say, I release all tension and stress. Mindfulness practice being present in the moment while using self-talk to focus your attention. For example, during a walk, you might say, I feel the ground beneath my feet. I hear the birds singing. I am present and at peace. Journaling. Write down your self-talk to reflect on your thoughts and track your progress over time. For example, you could write, Today, I used self-talk to stay calm during a stressful meeting. It helped me focus and respond thoughtfully. Building self-talk habits for different stages of life. Self-talk isn't static. It grows with you, adapting to new challenges, environments, and goals. From childhood to adulthood, and even in your later years, the way you talk to yourself can guide your journey. Childhood and adolescence, planting the seeds. During these formative years, self-talk often mirrors what children hear from the adults around them. Parents, teachers, and peers play a significant role in shaping how young people perceive themselves. Example of positive self-talk for students. A teenager struggling with a difficult math problem might initially think, I'll never get this. I'm just not good at math. Through encouragement or a shift in mindset, they can learn to say, I haven't figured this out yet, but I can keep trying. Every mistake I make brings me closer to understanding. Early adulthood. Navigating independence. As individuals transition into adulthood, self-talk becomes crucial for making decisions, overcoming self-doubt, and building confidence. Example for early career challenges. Starting a new job can be intimidating, and it's easy to feel out of place. Instead of thinking, I'm not qualified for this, everyone else is better than me, they can practice saying, I'm here because I earned this opportunity. I don't need to know everything right away. Learning is part of the process. Midlife. Balancing responsibilities. In midlife, people often juggle multiple responsibilities, family, career, and personal goals. Self-talk can provide clarity and calm during this busy phase. Example for managing stress. When feeling overwhelmed by work and family obligations, it's helpful to say, I'm doing my best, and that's enough. It's okay to ask for help when I need it. I can take things one step at a time. Later years. Reflecting and embracing change. In later years, self-talk can help individuals navigate transitions, maintain a sense of purpose, and reflect on their lives with gratitude. Example for aging. Gracefully. Instead of focusing on limitations, one might say, I've experienced so much and learned from every phase of life. I still have the ability to grow, contribute, and enjoy the present moment. Using self-talk to build resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from challenges, and self-talk is a key tool for developing this trait. Let's explore how it works in practice. Reframing setbacks as opportunities. When things don't go as planned, it's easy to dwell on failure. Self-talk can help you see the silver lining and focus on what you've gained rather than what you've lost. Example of resilience after rejection. Imagine applying for a job and not getting it. Instead of thinking, I'll never succeed, I'm not good enough. Try reframing with, "This wasn't the right fit for me, but it's an opportunity to learn and grow. I'll use this experience to improve for the next opportunity." Finding strength in difficult times. During periods of grief, loss, or uncertainty, self-talk can be a source of comfort and strength. Example of comfort. During a loss. When mourning the loss of a loved one, it's natural to feel overwhelmed by sadness. Gentle self-talk might include, "It's okay to feel this pain. It means I deeply cared. I will cherish the memories and honor them by living fully." Practical exercises to strengthen self-talk. If you're looking to make self-talk a consistent part of your life, here are some exercises to practice. 1. Mirror conversations. Stand in front of a mirror and speak to yourself as if you were encouraging a friend. This practice helps build self-compassion and reinforces positive messages. Example. Look in the mirror and say, "You're doing a great job. Even on hard days, you keep pushing forward, and that's something to be proud of." 2. Write a letter to yourself. Take some time to write a letter to your future self. Include words of encouragement, reminders of your strengths, and advice for staying resilient. Example. Start, "Dear future. Me, I know you'll face challenges, but I also know you're capable of overcoming them. Remember how strong you've been in the past and trust in your ability to keep growing." 3. Create a personal mantra. Develop a short phrase or sentence that resonates with you and repeat it daily. This mantra can serve as an anchor during stressful moments. Example, mantra. I am capable, resilient, and worthy of success. 4. Keep a self-talk journal. At the end of each day, write down any negative thoughts you had and how you countered them with positive self-talk. Over time, you'll notice patterns and improvements. Real-life success stories. Self-talk has transformed the lives of many people. Let's look at a real-life example of how it can be applied effectively. Story of overcoming fear. A young man named Ravi always dreamed of becoming a public speaker, but was terrified of speaking in front of an audience. His inner dialogue was filled with thoughts like, "What if I forget my words? People will laugh at me." Through consistent self-talk practice, he started reframing these thoughts. Before each speech, he would say, "I've prepared for this moment. Even if I make a mistake, it's a chance to connect with the audience. I'll speak from the heart, and that's what matters." Over time, Ravi gained confidence and became a sought-after speaker, inspiring others to embrace self-talk as a tool for growth. Overcoming challenges in building positive self-talk. While talking to yourself has immense benefits, it's not always easy to shift from negative to positive self-talk. Here are some common hurdles and ways to overcome them. 1. Feeling self-conscious about talking to yourself. Many people feel awkward or silly when they start practicing self-talk, especially if they do it out loud. The key is to remember that this practice is for your personal growth and doesn't need to be visible to anyone else. Solution: start small. If speaking out loud feels uncomfortable, try writing your thoughts in a journal or thinking them silently in your head. Over time, you can transition to vocalizing them in private spaces, like your room or car. Example: if you're nervous about a big presentation, whisper to yourself, "I've got this. I've practiced and prepared. I'll handle this with confidence." 2. Struggling to believe positive statements. If your self-esteem is low, saying positive affirmations might feel forced or untrue at first. Solution: start with neutral statements that feel more realistic, and gradually build up to positive affirmations. Example: instead of saying, "I am amazing at this," try, "I'm improving every day. I don't need to be perfect. I just need to keep trying." As you build confidence, you can transition to stronger affirmations like, "I am capable, skilled, and ready to succeed." 3. Being overwhelmed by negative thoughts. When negative thoughts flood your mind, it can feel impossible to counteract them with positive self-talk. Solution: use a pause and redirect technique. Acknowledge the negative thought without judgment, then replace it with a constructive one. Example: if you think, "I always mess things up," pause and say, "Mistakes are part of learning. What can I do differently next time?" This approach shifts your focus from self-criticism to problem-solving. 4. Inconsistency in practice. Like any habit, self-talk requires consistency. It's easy to forget to practice, especially when life gets busy. Solution: tie self-talk to your daily routine. For example, you could practice self-talk every morning when you look in the mirror, during your commute, or before bed. Example: start your day by saying, "Today is a fresh start. I'll approach it with curiosity and confidence." Advanced self-talk techniques. Once you've mastered the basics of self-talk, you can take it to the next level with these advanced strategies. 1. Visualization with self-talk. Pair your self-talk with visualization to make it even more powerful. Picture yourself succeeding as you speak positive affirmations. Example: before an important interview, close your eyes and say, "I'll walk into the room with confidence. I'll answer questions clearly and connect with the interviewer." Visualize yourself doing exactly that. Dialogues instead of monologues. Rather than speaking to yourself as a single entity, create an internal dialogue where one part of you, the supportive voice, encourages the other, the doubtful voice. Example: when doubting yourself, have an internal conversation like this. Doubtful voice: what if I fail? Supportive voice: failure is a stepping stone to success. Every attempt brings me closer to my goal. 3. Gratitude-based self-talk. Shift your focus from what's wrong to what's right by incorporating gratitude into your self-talk. Example: at the end of a tough day, say, "Today was challenging, but I'm grateful for the lessons I learned. I'm proud of myself for pushing through." 4. Future-oriented self-talk. Speak to yourself as if you're already living the future you desire. This helps align your mindset with your goals. Example: if you're working towards a big goal, say, "I'm proud of the progress I've made. I'm becoming the person I've always wanted to be." Practical self-talk scenarios. Let's revisit self-talk in action with fully detailed examples for different real-life situations. Scenario 1. Dealing with rejection. Imagine a boy named Ian who auditioned for a school play but wasn't selected. Initially, he feels devastated and thinks, "I'm not good enough. I'll never succeed at this." Through self-talk, he reframes his perspective. "This audition didn't go as I hoped, but it's not the end of the road. I learned what I need to improve, and I'll come back stronger next time." Scenario 2. Facing public speaking anxiety. Sophia, a college student, has to give a speech in class. She's terrified and thinks, "What if I mess up and everyone laughs at me?" Using self-talk, she calms herself.